say the age, let's put it at 30 and 20. Do you object to that age gap?
A 20-year-old and a 30-year-old?
30-year-old man, 20-year-old woman, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're fine with that?
Wait,
okay.
Wait, we were talking about 18 and 40.
Yeah,
So can we
Yeah.
stick to 18 and 40?
We could.
I
we
think
could
that
do
would be
that.
more fair.
It is
because-
bigger.
Yeah, let's.
But I think a 30-20
let's
is a
stick
bit
to-
more likely to happen.
But let's stick to what we were talking about, because
I'm fine with
so
that.
18
Okay.
and 40.
18-year-old and
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to get back to this before the audio cut out. Can you explain why it is, again, that you want 18-year-old girls to be able to vote if they're too dumb to manage their personal affairs when it comes to their
And like
relationship?
I said, she never called them stupid
Good
or dumb.
question,
That was her
Drew.
own words.
Well, then what would your objection be to it then?
I think that men that are 40 years old
Uh-huh.
could manipulate you, could do a lot of things, and
Well, then this
a
must
relationship.
assume that assumes that the 18-year-olds must be stupid then.
No.
I'm sorry,
You're
are
just
you
not
usually
that
manipulated by people who are smarter than you?
You're just not going
Or
to
dumber
be
than you.
as experienced. When you're 18, you're not going to be as
Bro,
experienced.
they give the
as- yeah,
shittiest
40 years old.
answers, bro.
Yeah,
men
so
get
if you're
more
inexperienced,
nefarious as they get
if
older?
you're-
They give
so
the
then this
shittiest
goes to
answers.
my point. Hang on, let us finish our exchange here real quick, if you don't mind. This goes back to my argument then. If you're too inexperienced in the world to even manage your own personal affairs when it comes to a relationship, why would you be experienced enough to vote on the issues that would affect me and the nation?
Exactly.
Do you want
That's
to
a
explain that to me?
bro.
I
That's a
don't
great
talk
ass point.
politics, so
That's a great ass point, because I hate when girls make that. I hate when girls say that. Oh, she's 18. She can't make sound decisions when it comes to dating. How many sound decisions do you need to make when it comes to dating, especially as a woman? If you have a man who's going to take care of you, all you need to know is that you're attracted to the individual. I've said it a million times. There is nothing wrong with a man grooming a woman. As a matter of fact, that's typically going to lead to a better relationship. She hasn't been indoctrinated by society as much. She's willing and open and receptive to being the type of woman that you need her to be, so that you guys' relationship can function in the most efficient and effective way possible. It makes perfect sense to me. Dating is not a logical thing. Most people don't think when they're dating. They just know that they're attracted to the person. And especially with women, they know they're attracted to you. They want you inside you. And they want you inside of them. And they're willing to do whatever the fuck you say. Every man who's had a younger woman and she was impressionable or malleable knows this, is aware of this. Like, it makes perfect sense. Women are not stupid, because attraction is not an intelligent, logical process. I'm attracted to you. I like you. I'll do what you say. I want to have your babies. Tell me where to go. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to do it. Bro, I don't get it. I don't understand. These hoes are dumb.
We're not talking politics. We're talking about voting.
I know I recognize them too.
I just think just how your argument against virginity, preferring a virgin as preferring someone with blue or brown eyes, I just don't think your argument is as strong as you think it is. I don't really see the comparison.
Oh, well, what? I
because-
mean, what a fantastic counter argument. I don't think your argument's very good. It's not an
because
argument.
when you're
That's just saying
involved,
something.
when you're dealing with a man day in and day out, that's a lot different than sending in a vote.
Maybe morally dumbfounded.
Yeah,
Is that
She's
not
hilarious.
okay,
You still
so
won't
I
answer.
realize that everything on Earth that we could possibly imagine that we make an analogy to are going to be different, no matter what, right? So I can say, for instance, oh, this tastes like chicken, but it's not actually a chicken. The reason that we're making the analogy that it tastes like chicken is so that you have some reference in your mind to what the thing tastes like. We're not actually saying it's the thing itself. So knowing that, what I'm asking you here,
I
is
should have been
if
on
a
this pod.
man who is
This
40
the pod I
wants
should
to
have
date
been
a
on.
woman who's 18,
I should have been on
and
this
the woman
pod.
who's 18 goes to you and says, I love him. I'm going to marry him because I love him. Are you saying that that shouldn't be allowed?
Thank you, Andrew, because that's exactly what I just said.
I mean, people could do whatever they want. Do I think it's appropriate? No.
Yeah, what's
You think-
inappropriate about it?
The age gap is
Yeah, what's
inappropriate.
inappropriate about it? What's actually
She
problematic?
can't
about
explain
He
it.
loves
She's
him,
gonna be
he
morally
loves
dumbfounded,
her.
bro.
There's a big power struggle there.
What's the
Well,
power
hang on,
struggle?
there's a power struggle in every relationship,
Relationship, right?
regardless
And
of
more
age.
so with a 40 and an 18-year-old than
Prove
someone
it.
that's...
No, that's not true for every relationship. One, there's no way you could ever
I would actually argue that the 18-year-old, yet again, would be more compliant. It would be more of a power struggle with an older woman who thinks she knows every fucking thing, rather than it would with an 18-year-old who still knows that she has a lot to learn and she's willing to learn. As I just said, openness and receptiveness. It would be more of a power struggle. I was just in the store today. I was in Aldi, and there was a power struggle going on between this white couple. I don't know what the white woman did. She did something to, I don't know if it was her husband or boyfriend, but they was dating, and she was sitting there apologizing. I walked by him, and they were whispering. I appreciate them for trying to keep their conflict on the low. They were whispering, but I overheard them, and I could hear the guy say, I just need you to shut up right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to handle it. And she was like, well, I said I'm sorry. What else do you want me to say? And I could look at her and tell that she was one of those difficult women. You know how you can just look at some women and tell that they're difficult? They look like the type of woman who think they know it all. They run the relationship. They always have something to say. They do what they want. They violate boundaries. They emasculate their man. They disrespect their man. That's the type of woman she was. I could just look at her and tell. Now, my presumption is that she cheated. That's what it sounded like the conversation was about. It sounded like he had found out that she cheated. And she was just like, well, I said I'm sorry, and what do we have to do to work through it? What do we have to do to get past it? I'll do whatever I need to do. Bro was mad. Bro was storming around the grocery store. He was upset. And she was waddling behind him with the cart with this egg on her face, and I'm just like, I started to give him a business card. If I had a business card, I would have given him a business card. Hey guys, I'm a relationship coach. I can help you guys work through this infidelity situation. But to me, it appears that he was already over it. He was done. Bro was done. He was over it. He was fucking over it.
Or demonstrate that that's true. You could say maybe the likelihood of it increases. But so what? The likelihood would also increase if he was a 21-year-old millionaire and she was a 21-year-old who worked at Starbucks. There would be a massive power imbalance. Would you say then that they shouldn't date?
Well, you're saying if they were to get married, right? Would you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you married?
Mm-hmm.
You are? Can you tell me the age you got married?
I'd actually have to calculate it, but
around time. Like, were you in your 20s, 30s?
Yeah, I was in my 20s. Yeah, late 20s.
Late 20s. Okay. So, do you think that your relationship or your marriage with your wife would have survived if you got together when you were 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for
I
you.
mean,
But
let us assume for a second that I'm wrong, and it wouldn't have.
Okay.
So what? What would that have to do with anything?
I just don't think you are gonna make the best relationship decisions at 18 years old. That's my answer.
Yeah, no, hang on, I get it. I understand.
I'm confused.
But this is kind of become circular, right? So let's move back for a second.
I'm confused. What relationship decisions does an 18-year-old woman need to make if she's with an older guy? If she's with an older guy, then this guy is obviously more than capable, competently able to provide financially, I'm assuming emotionally, spiritually, mentally. He's at a place in his life where he obviously wants companionship, someone supportive. He wants, probably, if he's financially well off, somebody to spoil, somebody to do the cliche, cook, clean, pat him on the back, appreciate him, respect him. And she has plenty of fecundity and fertility to work with. What decisions does she actually need to make? What decisions does an 18-year-old woman dating an older man need to make if he's financially well off and he already has everything taken care of? What decisions does she need to make other than knowing what dress she wants from the store, what she wants to eat? Does she want to go see this movie? Where would she like to go on vacation? What decisions does she really need to be able to make? Now, you can make an argument when it comes to, what about life insurance? What if he dies? His inheritance, the right to those things, etc., etc. Okay, it goes to her. The fuck? What decisions does she actually need to make? He gonna be in the hospital, and she got to make the decision of whether to pull the plug or not when he in a coma. She's 18. I'm pretty sure she can do that. An 18-year-old can vote. 18-year-old is taking college courses. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out what kind of decisions would an 18-year-old need to make, and the magnitude of those decisions that she would be incapable of making. I don't get it. I'm not following. I don't understand.
You're saying that the reason for this is because there's a power dynamic problem. She loves him, he loves hers not enough because there's a power issue. Isn't that what your objection is?
I just think that if you had I feel like our conversation, I could get a better, I could give you something better if you could give me what you would really, truly, honestly think about your daughter at 18 dating a 40-year-old.
Why would you need my position to know your position?
Because I think you could
Wait.
understand
Why do you need my
coming.
position to know what you think about an issue?
I think because you would be able to understand where I'm coming from if you were to actually be honest.
So I'll give you my
about-
position again.
Okay.
I'm confused.
I don't want my daughter to date a man her age or older than her or younger than her.
And I guarantee, because they talking about, 18-year-olds are not as competent at thinking and decision making. They literally, when they were 18, I don't know how old these young ladies are, but when they were 18, I guarantee the way that they speak and the way that they think now has not improved from when they were 18. I guarantee, I'm willing to bet that the way they speak and what they think and the values they hold right now were no different at 18. They can't even give him a better conversation. And that's one of the gripes I have with people who criticize this podcast. People will say, y'all bring on dumb women who, and they're young and they're just out of high school. And, bro, do y'all not understand that we don't get that much more intelligent from high school to age 45? We just have more experiences. If you can't articulate yourself by age 18, chances are you're not going to get that much more competent at articulating yourself. If there are certain questions you don't know, if there are things, if you don't demonstrate a certain level of critical thought at 18, you're not going to have a level of critical thought that's exponentially better than what you had at 18 at 33. They just say things and they have the poorest arguments. They make the shittiest arguments. It's annoying. Their arguments really be shitty.
That's just not going to happen, though.
Yeah, okay, great. But now you know my position. So back to your position here. I'm just
Then
curious.
you're
Is it the
What's
power
going on,
dynamic
Trent?
issue? Is that what the problem is?
So you literally can go to war and
All
kill
things
someone at
equal,
18?
okay,
Yeah,
that's
you
what
can
she
go to
was-
war and kill someone at
Totally.
18.
Go
No,
ahead.
yeah, I would say all things equal, you have to choose between the 20-year-old and the 40-year-old for your daughter. All things equal.
Well, all things couldn't be equal. It's an impossible and illogical hypothetical in a vacuum. So if you were to just say on age alone by itself with no other contributing factors, I would probably choose for the 20-year-old.
And y'all want women in politics.
But so what? What does that have to do with anything?
I think
Now let's add in.
Y'all want women in politics, and women fail to make sound, cogent points about their positions on topics that they feel strongly about. And y'all want women in politics. Y'all like women being in politics. We're advocating for women in politics. We want to place world issues in women's hands and their moral positions on a lot of the things that they have issues with are things that have no immediate negative effect. It just makes them, they just don't like it because it's abnormal and they're not used to it. They're not desensitized to it, and they've been indoctrinated to believe that something is bad without actually ever having thought about what actually makes it bad. That's why they be morally dumbfounded on these type of questions. I just don't like it. I just feel like they turn into our cousins. They turn into our wild cousins. Bro, come on, bro. This is why I hate having conversations with women. This is why I hate having conversations with women who don't listen, because the conversation isn't going to go anywhere. You know how annoying it is to have a conversation with somebody who can't explain what you're trying to figure out or what you need to know? That's extremely annoying to me. I can't have conversations with people who can't explain. If I ask you a question, if you criticize something or you're scrutinizing something and you have an issue with it, I cannot stand asking someone, okay, well, explain to me why you feel the way that you feel, and they can't explain it. They start stuttering, they get morally dumbfounded, they repeat themselves, they talk in circles. Bro, I can't stand it. I hate it. I can't do it. And this is a prime example of that. These girls have a podcast. They have a podcast and they say a lot of stupid shit on their podcast. And now he's calling them out on the stupid shit that they say on their podcast, and they can't explain their positions of the shit that they say on their podcast. I hate talking to dumb people. If I ask you a question, I need you to be able to explain it. I need you to be able to provide specificity. When I need you to elaborate, elucidate, I need you to be able to do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to understand your position. And I'm going to realize you're not as intelligent as you think you are.
In a single variable, the 20-year-old is a broke, destitute idiot.
I love that Andrew be breaking them down, though.
Then I might choose
Andrew be
differently,
breaking them
right?
down.
Because it's not in a vacuum. So understanding
What's good,
that
perspective?
is true, I can still explain to you that I would probably have the preference for this to youth, sure, but so what? That doesn't mean I see any immoral arrangement with a 40-year-old dating an 18-year-old. That's what I don't understand and need demonstrated. That's what I want to
it's
hear.
storming outside,
The
too.
actual problem with it is what?
I think how you see it, Brooklyn, is kind of how I see it, where it's just like, what does an 18 and a 40-year-old have in common at all? You're not in the same walk of life at all. He's
Well, I
been
can
doing it
tell
for 20
you.
more
I can
years
tell you what I
than
think. What I think.
Hold on.
I can tell you what I think. I can tell you what the distinction is. He really wants to have sex with her a lot.
That Trent
all the
said
time,
always
and
more
she
police
wants his
arguments.
money.
Yeah, that's all
what
it is.
right?
That's all it is.
Generally speaking, what I think this arrangement would be is that she would go for him because she thinks he's sophisticated and has resources, and he's with her because he really wants to fuck her.
And if
That's
he
what I
doesn't
think.
have the
Essentially, it would be.
And if he doesn't have the resources and she's just with a 40-year-old man, then what?
Because she loves him. You think that I'm going to tell my daughter that she can't marry somebody that she loves and who loves her back?
Well, you can't.
That's really weird.
You can't really tell her anything. At the end of the day, she's going to make her own
That's right.
decisions.
I really can't tell her anything at the end of the day. So that's why we're just moving into why this is actually.
That's the best point she made so far since I've been watching this. You can't really tell her anything at the end of the day because she's grown. That's the most intelligent point she's made the entire time I've been listening to this exchange. That right there. That is the most profound and realistic thing she said. And Trent said, it's always moral police arguments. Yeah, it's always moral police arguments. Because women think they're the arbiters of morality. They think that the world is supposed to operate in alignment with what they believe based on what they value. And that's the problem with American societies, with weird societies right now, Western societies. We're modifying everything that's masculine and trying to get it to conform to feminine ways of thinking and feminine values. And that's the problem. As if women make better people by default because they're women. That's really how we behave. We act as if women make better people by default because they're more sympathetic and they respond to conflict with trying to with wanting to make up and in communal ways. That doesn't make them better. That doesn't make them inherently better people. Sometimes you need a little force. Sometimes you need a little brutality. Sometimes you need a little punching in the face. Need a little roughing up, aggression. I don't know why we act like that.
In some way, some kind of problem.
Well, can you?
Why is this actually a problem?
Oh, what's good, Michael Lee? What's good, bro?
For me, I think that we're thinking the same in the same way of just, I don't think I have anything involved. My mom's 40. I don't have really anything in common with my mom other than she's my mom, because we're just at different walks of life. And do I think it's the worst thing on a planet? No, because they're both legal. But
wait, hold
would
on.
I
On
do
this
it?
whole,
No,
wait.
at all.
On this whole commonality
So I
thing,
do think it's
though, really, on
inappropriate.
this commonality thing, though, really quick, for anybody here, do you think like it's high on the totem pole that like the major thing you're looking for when it comes to a partner is things in common?
Yes.
Like if you don't, like, I've never seen like a really attractive girl and been like,
And this speaks to the the three things that we have most in common with people that we date. The three things that we have most in common with people that we date, or what we value the most with people that we date, is religiosity, political affiliation, and intelligence. Those are the three things that we select for more than anything else: political affiliation, religiosity, and intelligence. Now, an 18-year-old can have an IQ. An 18-year-old woman can have an IQ of 120. She can date a 40-year-old man with an IQ of 135. That they're both above average. It's not going to be a huge disparity in their level of comprehension about world phenomenon and their ability to be able to communicate about those things. Religiosity is the other one, because of course religion is the foundation for a lot of marriage contracts. So most people would be similar, practicing the same religion as their spouse. And then political affiliation, because politics is so ingrained in our mind, and politics is a part of our identity in a lot of ways. It's what we value. It makes up our network of sacred values. So then the political orientation is huge for a lot of people. You won't find a whole bunch of liberals dating conservatives, a whole bunch of conservatives dating liberals. So, but those are the three things that we assortatively mate for first and foremost. And then secondary to that would be personality similarities and physical appearance similarities. Those are kind of redundant to state, because physical appearance, we typically just gravitate towards people that we're similar in attractiveness to. And then personality is also one of those things that we don't actually have to actively vet for. It's kind of one of just those subconscious being drawn to people who are more like you, because you typically meet people who you have similar personalities to in circles that you ride in. So people who are more extroverted are more likely to meet at the club, because extroverted people go to the club. Or people who are more introverted are more likely to meet at the bookstore. And she's sitting on a beanbag and he walking by. Our personalities put us in the same vicinities, in closer proximity to people who are more like us in everyday activities. So those are things that we don't actively think about. But on paper, the three things that people assortatively mate for the most, and you will find across all the mate selectivity research, is political affiliation, religiosity, and intelligence. So all of this about whatever she talking about, well, we don't have anything in common. If you both are conservatives, that's something in common. If you're similar in IQ, that's something in common. And if you both are Christians, that's something. Those are the three most common things that you need to build a foundation to be with somebody.
She doesn't like the same music as me. Guess I'm not gonna fuck her.
She's never gonna play Dungeons and Dragons with me. Damn it!
I think
But
it's a
you know
whole
what?
bunch of
I don't.
stuff
You know what?
connected.
You're super hot, and I thought that you were gorgeous and the woman of my dreams. Till I found out you don't
Ship
play
Jumper
D&D.
said, I've always asked women
That's
to
a
explain
deal
what they
breaker.
mean, and they
I
always
think
freeze
people
up.
connect on
Yeah,
having
because they never think about it. They never think about
And
what they
don't
actually
know
mean
how
when they
you
say something.
necessarily connect at
They never think about it.
18 with a 40-year-old. So I do agree
Yeah,
with Brooklyn
but
in that sense.
I mean, well, hang on. I'm just really curious, right? Why wouldn't there be tons of overlap and connection? So, for instance, name a connection you would have with a 21-year-old that you couldn't have with a 40-year-old. I'd like to know a single one.
Watch this.
Well, most 40-year-olds I would feel like have a wife and kids.
I feel like
Okay, yeah, but
So
this
I mean
one
that's
I
not
feel like
necessarily.
we'd have a
I
wife
know
and
what you're
kids.
saying.
this one
Answer his
doesn't
question.
have
Yeah.
a wife and kids. So, can you name a single connection you can have with a 21-year-old that you can't have with a 40-year-old? Go ahead. The floor is open. Name one.
A 20-year high school reunion.
A what?
That's about it. Or like a high school reunion. I haven't had one yet. I'm 21.
That's a connection.
I'm just trying to
But do you
kinda,
think?
I guess so.
You think
it could
that would be a basis for disqualifying? Do you think
Yeah,
that would
can
be
you
a basis
give
for
me a
disqualifying?
single
telling y'all, they
emotional
terrible. They
or
terrible.
interest connection that you can
I
have with
would
a
hope
21-year-old man you can't have
that
with a
20
40-year-old?
years,
Honestly,
I have a lot more experience
You're
and
not
knowledge than
answering-
I do
you're not answering
at
his
20 years
question.
old right now.
I would say
But you're not
being
answering
in the
his
same
question.
age or stage of life.
Exactly. That's what I just
Pretty
said.
big
Yeah.
difference.
yeah,
complaining
okay.
about
So
college
then
classes.
I'll just ask you the
Men
same
and women-
question. Perhaps you'll answer
Going
it.
out.
Can you?
party-
Men and women don't need to be in the same stage of life. What the fuck? They don't need to be in the same stage of life. They don't need to be in the same stage of life. Hey man, I appreciate the 20 AD. This demonstrates This demonstrates that women want the benefit of claiming I'm a kid as a shield if it benefits them to get out of trouble, but I'm an adult at 18 if it benefits them for things they want to do, get to pick and choose because reason. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, bro. Exactly. If egg fucking exactly. Let me see. Let me see how we get this. That's exactly right, bro.
Can you name a single
Appreciate the
emotional
20.
connection or interest connection that you can have with a 21-year-old man you can't have with a 40-year-old man? I'd actually like to know the answer to
I
the
think you would
question.
form an emotional connection by being in the same stage of life. You're experiencing adulthood for the first time.
And you can also form emotional connections to the opposite of that. You can form emotional connections with people who are outside of your experiences. You've heard perhaps opposites attract. You've heard perhaps that people enjoy traits in other people that they themselves don't have. There's
I don't
all
think you're
sorts of these
necessarily
types of
gonna-
emotional. Yeah, so I'm just asking specifically then.
So my
what
friend is
that
35.
thing,
She married a
that
53-year-old who has
emotional
kids in their
connection
20s and
you're
they
talking
love each other.
about? What's
Bro, I'm saying.
specifically there
It ain't got
could
nothing to
have
do
a
with what they
21-year-old
talking about.
couldn't
Nothing to
have a
do with what they
4-year-old.
talking about.
Neither one of your guys' brain is fully developed when you're 18 and 21. When you're 40, you're a full-grown man. Your brain is developed. You've already.
No, your brain is fully developed at 18. I don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
not until
Your brain.
25.
I think it's 25.
It's
no?
not.
Actually,
25,
what you've
Your
done is
frontal
you've
lobe
taken
finishes.
one study, which is talking about the prefrontal
So
cortex,
cortex,
and you've
yeah.
misread it,
It's
like
not one
most people
study.
do.
It's not. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not.
really? How many studies is it?
It's not one study, but
Couldn't tell you, sorry, I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I know. And can you name the study?
No, I can't name
Wait, so
No,
wait.
you can't name it. So the thing is like you're talking about the prefrontal
And-
cortex and
and also because a lot of people say this, the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, yes, is not fully developed, but it's not until 25. The prefrontal cortex is always developing. It's been found that it still develops beyond 25. 90% of it will probably be developed by 25, but it's always developing. It develops into your 30s. And a lot of people say that. And I said, that's how I know they just be repeating shit that they heard. They don't actually know it. I'm glad Andrew called it out. It's not just one study, though. That's where he got it wrong. It's multiple. This is the consensus in cognitive psychology about the development of the prefrontal cortex. But the consensus is that it doesn't stop developing at 25, but that's when you see a profound amount of development in it, and then it continues to gradually, just slows down development exponentially, and it continues to gradually increase into your 30s. He said neuroplasticity. Yes, essentially.
the thing is the prefrontal cortex begins to degrade after the age 26. People forget that part. It degrades. So if it degrades, then wouldn't that mean if you're a 40-year-old man that you have a degraded prefrontal cortex, whereas a 25-year-old woman would have a prefrontal cortex in her prime? So wouldn't that make you equal?
I don't know where he got that from.
Don't things start to
I don't
degrade
know.
after they've reached
I don't know where he got the degrading part
Right, so
from.
if
I don't
it
know what he
reaches
mean
its
by that.
prime and it
I never
begins to
heard that
degrade,
before.
But let's take a look at this attribute, right? So you can have a fully developed prefrontal cortex even before the age of 26. You can have that. It's not even a problem to have. And you can have such minute differences. What if it only works at 0.5% better, or a quarter of 0.5%? That's why you can't extrapolate from studies like this. You can't take this and extrapolate that we can only consider you an adult at 26 because everybody's mind.
Yo, AB said, "Yo, Q, when you going on whatever next?" I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get me on whatever. I gotta hit up my guy Hobson, the rapper Hobson, because I told Brian I would try to get him on whatever. So that's right now. I'm kind of just chilling. I'm kind of taking a break because y'all know I've been out there a lot. I've been out there 8 times within the past year. So, you know, I never thought I would want to take a small little break, a small little hiatus from going out there. But I'm kind of just chilling right now, and I'm waiting on the rapper Hobson to get back to me. And we gonna figure out if he want to go on there, and if he want to go on there, that's probably when I go back on there. So it'll probably be within the next 2 or 3 months, unless Brian hits me up, cause Brian will hit me up at the most random times. Like I'll literally be asleep, and Brian will text me. I don't know if Brian get any sleep, but Brian will text me at 3:30 a.m. like, bro, you down to come on this week? And I wake up and I'm like, bro, Brian sent this message at 3:30 a.m. Like, yeah, Brian, I come out there. Brian hit me up at the most random times. It'd be suddenly. It's spontaneous.
Mind develops differently. So the question becomes this. And by the way, if that's the case, wouldn't only 26-year-old women be able to vote? Wouldn't only 26-year-old women be able to buy cars? Shouldn't only 26-year-old
let me double check what Andrew talking about, because I never heard that.
I don't think anyone's saying that it should be illegal to date someone that's 40 years old.
Right. Okay, great. Then let's get back to this then. What emotional connection can you only have with a person in your age bracket you couldn't have with an age bracket of a person who's 20 years older than you?
I think I already stated my answer to that.
Wait, can I ask
Which
you a
was
question?
what?
To this idea of commonality, couldn't you also argue, though, that there might be too much commonality between two 20-year-olds because they're both maybe
Brian don't get no sleep.
immature, but if you had somebody, younger girl, they might be a little bit more able.
Yeah, so I mean, like right here, it said when the prefrontal cortex is fully developed, which typically happens around age 25, you're considered capable of discerning the relationship between your actions and potential short or long-term consequences, because the prefrontal cortex is essentially for judgment, which makes sense. And like I said, and this is Healthline. Healthline is one of the most reliable sources, scientific sources on the internet. I don't know where he got the decline of the prefrontal cortex from. I'll have to ask Andrew about that, because he told me he gonna buy me a beer. I don't drink beer, but he told me he gonna buy me a drink. So the next time we go out there and we on whatever, I do know that Andrew told Brian that when him and his wife go back out there, he wants me to come on the podcast with them. So Andrew, so there is a possibility that I may go back out there. I don't know when Andrew is actually going back in studio, but when I was on last time and he was on, when we were on and he was on the video like he is now, he said that he wanted me to be on the podcast with him and his wife. So if I do go out there when they on, then I'll have that discussion with him, but it won't be on air. I'll talk about it in the back, off camera, because that's my guy, and Andrew my guy. But I would like to know where he got that from, because anytime people are intelligent, I'm always hip to listen to if they found something that I missed, or they seen something that I missed, or something that was updated. But I'm almost certain that what he said is not the case. I've never heard that before.
Able to be like, okay, she's acting like this, but he has more emotional maturity because he has that experience that you guys are talking about, so he'd be able to
the frontal lobe is executive function. The frontal lobe is executive function. The prefrontal cortex is a smaller piece of the frontal lobe that's specifically responsible for
all older women
I want to say judgment. Executive function is in that, but the entire frontal lobe is executive function in totality. And then you have like little parts of the prefrontal cortex that are associated with things within executive function.
Dating women in their 30s and 40s.
Judgment,
and
critical
they're
thought.
Just as, if not more, troublesome than women in their 20s. From my own personal experience,
self-awareness, theory of mind, those things.
Women we've had on the show who tend to be in their 30s and 40s, post-show, create more issues for us by fucking trying to do reputation destruction. I'm dealing with it right now. 40-year-old women are the ones that are like trying to do reputation destruction.
He right about that.
Malicious shit.
He right about that.
Then like some 20-year-old chick or whatever, she got owned in an argument.
Said, I think Andrew is saying that if your prefrontal cortex fully develop at 25, it must start declining because it can't develop any further. That Ship Jumper, if he was saying that, then I could concur with that. I could see that. But
in general, but
okay, so
my only thing with that is they say it now. I mean, cognitive neuroscientists, cognitive psychologists, because
okay, sure.
my mentor is a neuroscientist. He actually ran the whole COVID. He actually ran the whole COVID operation in Philadelphia. He was the head of the COVID operation.
somebody
one of the
else's
lead
image.
neuropsychologists
because,
in Philadelphia,
if that's the case, then you
was
kind
my
of destroyed your
mentor.
own argument.
And
You gotta
me and
get
him
with
used
the
to
phone.
talk about that. We used to discuss that when I was still
Yeah, if you're saying you
studying
shouldn't do this
psychology,
thing
and he
X
said
based
actually
out of your own
they're discovering
self-interest,
that the
in
prefrontal
this
cortex
particular case, wouldn't you be
continues to
telling-
develop even past 25. So not until about 31, 32, and when it hits 25, like I said about 90%, about 90, it might be more, about 95% developed, and then that last 5-7% is a slow gradation into it being fully developed by age 30, 31, or even 32.
any of these women to operate against their own self-interest?
By telling them not to date an older man.
Yeah, if they wanted to date an older man, and this older man had resources, could take care of them, and they loved him, I don't understand how it's not in their best interest to marry him.
I mean, if all those things are true and they're actually like a good, genuine guy.
But if
sure,
that's what
it's
Andrew
definitely
meant, then I
a
definitely
relationship,
I get
Then
that.
why is it a
That
problem?
makes logical
because I
sense.
think you're making up a scenario that's not representative of reality.
Exactly.
What is what's representative of reality?
That a lot of times when older men go for younger women, it is because they're looking for someone easier that
And
they can manipulate.
so why are the younger women going for them?
Because they are naive and they don't have real world experience. They're going through a transitionary stage in their life where they are leaving their home and they don't know how to make sense of the world.
So they
What?
have no accountability.
Or no agency.
Argue that.
Okay, so since they have no accountability, why can they vote?
I mean, that's another discussion.
No, I
I'm
think
open
it's
to
a
hearing
relevant
that.
discussion because we're either going to treat 18-year-olds as adults who can make their own decisions or we're not.
No,
Right.
because an 18-year-old could be very book smart, but that doesn't ensure that she knows how to deal with romantic relationships. Romantic relationships and being book smart is different. That's why they say there's book smart and street smart. You can't just put it all in one box.
But why should we assume that she can manage any relationship in any age bracket?
Right, and
She
that
could
would go
be
for
smart enough in the
that would
books
go for
that all
social
share days and
relationships.
knows exactly
That would go for social
what she
relationships
Yeah, no, I
too.
be
get
the
it.
best
She
next
understands
candidates.
geography and history, and she's great when it comes to politics. But this would still beg the question of asking this singular question of, if she can't manage a relationship, why should she get in any relationship?
You're bringing up why should she be able
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, because if it had, why romantic relationships? Why not friendships? Why not friendships? Why not platonic friendships? If they can't make good decisions in romantic relationships, then they wouldn't be able to make good decisions in platonic friendships with the opposite sex, or their social friendships, their social networks. They're all relationships. They all operate on reciprocity. They all operate on what can you do for me? How do you provide me with what I need that's advantageous to me? Problem solving, conflict resolution. These are all things that are present in not just romantic relationships, but social relationships, work relationships, parent-child relationships. So women have the capacity at 18 to navigate these relationships effectively, but not romantic relationships effectively? Come on now. Come on now. Come on now.
to vote if she can't be in a relationship? But I
Yeah,
just
what I'm
answered
saying is that if the
because you're
issue
bringing
is
up voting, but
experience-
voting has nothing to do
Yeah.
with dealing with
If
the man
the issue
romantically.
is experience and knowledge, and she can't manage her own affairs because she can't be held accountable because she's too young, then why are we treating her like an adult? That's the question.
I don't think there's an answer there. I do want to get back really quick to the commonality thing. So you guys were saying, well, what does a 20-year-old, 30-year-old,
Why did they
20,
dress in
40-year-old,
all that
whatever it is,
green?
They don't have anything in common.
Why
Can you
they
just
put on all that
articulate to
green?
me what men and women around the same age have in common? Or I'll even grant you, what do men and women have in common?
I think it's all individually.
Yeah, but what is something that you would have in common with somebody that would be, you have something so in common that you're going to choose to be with them on that basis alone?
Maybe the way they view things in life.
Such as?
Values.
Yeah, like I feel like
Okay,
I
so
think-
couldn't an 18-year-old have the same values as a 28-year-old?
They could, but they could have different experiences leading up.
You need to ask them what's the values. What's the values? And see, this is where you need that specificity. What's the values? Tell me what's the value that's pertinent to a successful relationship that would be absent in an 18-year-old but present in a 40-year-old, or present in an 18-year-old but absent in a 40-year-old? What values? What values are we talking about? What are the values that we need to have? Because as far as I'm concerned, we need to like eating. We need to like going on vacations to different countries. We need to like fucking. We need to like movies. We need to like dogs. And we need to like things that are funny. We need to like the same things that are funny. That's what we should value. Food, fucking, dogs, vacations. I like roller coasters, so she need not be scared of roller coasters. But what oh, and of course, we need to want a family. She needs to want to have kids. She needs to want to be married. If I want kids and I want to be married. There the values are established. What additional values do we need? What additional values will we not be able to work with? Would just be deal breakers? Bro, they make it difficult. I'm telling you, they make it difficult. What are these values?
Up to that.
Okay.
Graduating college, experiencing like the bars, anything like that. Yeah, I got like your license.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
as
So
2 years
let's
ago.
let's say you're a 30-year-old man,
Bars.
and you don't drink, you don't party, you never did. Maybe you went to a bar once, and you want a
Bars.
partner who doesn't drink, doesn't party, doesn't go out to bars and clubs. Do you have more in common with a 20-year-old who's never gone out to bars and never drank, or with a 30-year-old who goes to raves, goes to music festivals, parties every weekend, and is basically a borderline alcoholic? Who would be a better partner for who? Who has more in common with who?
Are we doing the 18 and 40 now, or 20
We
and
can-
40? It doesn't.
It doesn't really
I got
matter.
you.
I'm just
Okay,
giving you, it's still an age gap.
Bro.
No, I see what you're saying. I do agree. Like I said, I don't think it's wrong. It's obviously not illegal. I just
No, but answer the question though. So
Okay.
which one do you have has more in common?
obviously the two that have the most in common.
Oh, so there is
which
a commonality.
the ones that don't drink. Yeah.
But I think the issue is
Why did
more
she
so
say a
how
bar?
big the age gap is. It's like the older you get, I feel like it's more
what girl,
acceptable
bro?
than. I mean, an 18-year-old is, even though you're legally an adult, could we all agree that we were kids at 18, right?
Yeah, I felt
Could
like
you say that?
I could
Well,
feel like
okay.
I was an
Then
adult.
No.
Looking back,
No,
you're
I
like
can't.
a kid. Basically.
I can't agree to that. No, I can't agree that that I was a kid at 18. No, I know
Childlike.
a kid
Childlike,
would
yeah.
allude to somebody who is not an adult. No, I would say I was an adult at 18, or say all of you were adults at 18. I think you're trying to infantilize women because you want to make men out to be predatory, but you can't make arguments for how they're being predatory.
Predatory, yeah.
I think regardless if the woman is 40.
Mature, yeah.
So
but-
what this is typified loading of language, and you see this from feminist circles all the time. Wouldn't you consider yourself a kid at 18? No. And no, I wouldn't consider any of you to be kids at 18. I consider you to be adults at 18. I'm not going to infantilize you so that you can say that men who want to date younger women are predatory. I would mean that-
Cause look, they 18, best believe they fighting their parents to perceive them as adults. Best believe they're making arguments to their parents that they're adults, that they're fully capable and competent of making adult decisions and running their lives. They won't get in trouble. They won't make bad decisions. I guarantee it. When they're 18, because what are we typically doing at 18? We trying to convince everybody who sees us as kids still that we're not kids. We want to be treated as adults. But now and all of a sudden, when you're 18 and you're making an argument for why it's predatory for a 40-year-old man to want to date an 18-year-old, now and all of a sudden you're a kid again. Y'all see how this social psychology just permeates out of people who want to rationalize their positions whenever they disagree with something that makes them feel bad or uncomfortable. They don't do nothing but contradict themselves. They become hypocrites and they contradict themselves, especially women. Women are walking contradictions and they're hypocrites.
Natural argument for why they were predatory. And so far, I haven't heard one.
I think what he's trying to get at is why do men all of a sudden become like more nefarious with age? Like I've heard girls talk about guys and awful things that guys will do, and they're usually like college age guys. So to that point, like, wouldn't a man who's more mature, more experienced, wouldn't he actually possibly be less nefarious than a 21-year-old, 20-year-old?
That would be nice if that were the truth, but a lot of
isn't
times
that?
it's not.
I think that's what it's going to, is like your world, like the worldview that you think, age as a man is older, he becomes like more tactic or like calculating, and he's like, oh, here's this 18-year-old. Maybe he just got a divorce because women initiate most divorces. He's now divorced, and he wants to maybe still have kids, still have.
What you talk about? Peter, girl on the right is looking at me. I'm not on the show. She can't see me.
Would that be somebody who's
What
like
you mean?
being calculated in a nefarious way, or someone who's just saying, yeah, I want to still have a family. I want my wife to be younger. That wouldn't be like calculated in a bad way. That would be calculating in a way that's what he wants, right?
You could find a young woman that's still fertile and not go for an 18-year-old. 20
Sure.
versus 30 is more acceptable. 18
Yeah, even
versus 40.
well, I think we were just using the extreme end of the spectrum, like a 40-year-old and an 18-year-old. But I think the point that
Well,
they're going
maybe
to
we
is,
can tie it together a different way. So are you guys on from my perspective, the right side of the table in the green? Are you okay with sex work?
yes.
Okay, so what if a 40-year-old woman has sex with an 18-year-old man who pays her? Is that okay?
I feel the same way.
It's not okay for them to do?
I feel like either way, it could be predatory.
Oh, you said it was the perfect pause frame.
Yeah, but it's no
Then George donated $200.
Nah, if I would, I actually think she attractive with the way she look now. I don't know how she look without the makeup. But I don't be trying to tell you. I don't be trying to put it out there. But every one of these podcasts I've been on, the most attractive girl on the pod that's been on with me, I'm not one to kiss and tell, but the most attractive girl on all the appearances that I made, whoever the most attractive girl is on the podcast that I'm on when I make my appearances, we have a conversation or two after. We might have a DM exchange or two after. Might have a number exchange after. I ain't putting nothing in y'all mind, but I'm just saying, typically the most attractive girl on the podcast, if I'm on, they have been interested in me. I went out on a date with one. I went out on a date on one of my first appearances with one, and she actually asked me after the show was over. She approached me before the show even started. When I first walked up, she approached me, introduced herself, and then she was hovering around me before we went live, when we was getting drinks and talking and stuff. She was hovering around me, making conversation, and then after the show, she asked me what was I about to do. I told her I was about to head back to my room, and she was like, let's go get something to eat. You want to get something to eat? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm down to get something to eat. And then the last time I was out there, y'all saw the really, really cute black girl that was on, the one that was really aggressive and really loud. She was right at me as well too. As soon as I walked up, she was, she came and I sat on the couch. It's a couch in there. I sat on the couch. She came and sat beside me on the couch, started talking to me, then introduced herself, gave me the look and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, like I can tell. And then another really attractive one, I'm not gonna say who she is. Another really attractive one. The Freudian slip one. The Freudian slip girl. She was cool. She was attracted to me. And then there's another one who's really, really attractive. She's really, really attractive. She's a Latina. When we got done with the show the last time I was on, we talked, and we texted back and forth for a little bit. I haven't talked to her in a week though. We was texting for like 2 weeks after I left, just having some conversation. We talked about maybe getting into some stuff together or whatever, but I haven't talked to her since then. I don't press women. If you hit my line, you hit my line. If you don't, you don't. I don't like to get caught up in talking to a whole bunch of women, and because I be focused on trying to do what I got going on, you know what I mean? So I can't get too consumed in talking to a whole bunch of women. I make time for a woman if she doing something and we got time to do something, like when I'm in a city or whatever, you know, I'll be like, yo, I'm around, what you trying to get into? Let's do this, let's do that. But other than that, I try not to get too consumed or caught up with the women that I interact with, unless I'm really, really vetting her and I'm really serious and it's consistent and I'm committed and we in close proximity. He said, "We get it. You're a Chad." I ain't no damn Chad.
If a 40-year-old
Stop
man
saying
has
that.
tons in common with an 18-year-old.
I ain't no damn Chad.
Why would it? He's just making the same claim. Like, why would that be a problem if they have a bunch of in common and they love each other?
Back to Andrew's thing. He was asking 40-year-old S worker with 18-year-old male who's paying for it.
Paying for it.
Oh, it's really storming.
Yeah, they're paying for it.
Well,
Yeah.
that changes things. I thought.
Yeah. Is that okay?
If he's paying for it.
Why? Well, I don't understand. What's the difference? So what would
AD
be
said,
the
"Q, did
difference
you
then
get a
if
PhD?"
40-year-old just
Wait,
wanted
hold
to
on.
have sex for free.
AD said, "Q, did you get a PhD?" No, I don't have a PhD, bro. I don't have a PhD. I don't know if I want one. I've thought about it seriously. I don't know if I want a PhD though. If I get a PhD, it'll be probably just to have the title. It won't be because I actually want to use it. It'll just be because I have the title. Like I won't go be a professor at universities and actively do that level of research. So I don't know if I got it. I would just have it to have it. You said you're smarter than people with one. Well, because I've been in during when I've been studying, I do a lot of research, and I have a lot of colleagues who are also people who have PhDs. Like a lot of psychologists follow me. A lot of psychologists and therapists follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Like the guy that runs the show on MTV, the Caught in the Act guy, the relationship coach, he follows me. What's going on, LRT Network? What's going on? He follows me. There's like 10 or 12 prominent psychologists on Twitter that follow me. There's a lot of marriage counselors and therapists that follow me. Sadia Psychology used to follow me. Like, people don't know, we did a live together. It's actually posted on my YouTube channel. With her, with really small on TikTok, but we couldn't. She's in a little teeny tiny picture, and we had a conversation for about an hour. That was back in 2022, 2023. But yeah, a lot of them follow me, and like I said, I mean, I've done a lot of research. Honestly, I've done a lot of research. I'm a former member of the Association of Psychological Sciences. My professor, as I said, one of the top psychologists in Philadelphia, he was my mentor. I did a lot of like thesis work, independent work, and things like that. So I got some experience under my belt when it comes to this kind of stuff. I got some experience. You said she got exposed for being a fraud. Yeah. She was walking around saying she was a psychologist, and I didn't know that. And how she got exposed was she actually was beefing with one of the retired marriage therapists who follow me that I'm actually really close with. She literally sent her a crazy ass email telling her, "Fuck you, bitch," yada yada yada. Like, I didn't even know Sadia had that side to her. Like, honestly, I didn't know she had that side to her. But a very good colleague of mine who follows me on both Instagram and Twitter, she was posting her beef between her and Sadia. Her and Sadia have been beefing for months. Like, they've been beefing for months. And we've had some discussions about her beef with Sadia. And I had no issues with Sadia. Like, I really had no issues with Sadia. Sadia followed me on TikTok and on Instagram. And Sadia reached out to me and told me that she would like to have a conversation with me, and we had the conversation. We did the live. I posted it here on YouTube. I had no issues with Sadia. I still don't have any issues with her personally, but the whole her claiming to be a psychologist and people thinking that she's a licensed psychologist with a PhD, that's incorrect. So, you know, and she got mad at the colleague of mine saying that she's actually a fraud, but the colleague of mine actually has her PhD. She has her PhD in marriage and family counseling. So it was a whole thing. It was a whole mess. It was a whole mess.
Free.
I would just personally, if I had an 18-year-old son and he was messing with a 4-year-old woman, I don't see that going over.
Unless he was paying for it?
I don't know if this is gonna get anywhere. Are we on?
No. I think it's getting somewhere. It's getting
So
to a
what's the
great
book?
place. So
Niccolo
what if he's
Machiavelli,
paying
The
for it?
Prince.
Is it okay then?
Highly
So if
recommend.
he goes,
I'll
"Hey,
check it out,
Mom, I
Peter.
just plowed a hooker,
I'll
she's
check it out,
40,
Peter. I
gave her some
appreciate the
money."
recommendation.
That's okay in your worldview? Just not if she does it for free?
Well, dating versus just having a one-night stand basically are two different scenarios.
Oh, so as long as 40-year-old men are just fucking 18-year-old women, it's fine.
I think it's more P word.
Hang on. I just want to make sure. Let me just talk to them for a second. I just want to make sure I get this right. As long as 40-year-old men are just fucking 18-year-old women, it's fine. Just not having a relationship
Well,
with them.
the 18-year-old woman, she does get to choose what she does with her body. I wouldn't
Except who to date with it.
I wouldn't recommend that. But if she wants to make her money, because
They
maybe
make some
she has
asinine
rent
arguments,
to pay,
man.
whatever the case may be, she got to make means meet. That's different than just dating a man.
Wait. So let me get this right. If the roles are reversed, a 40-year-old man only wants to hump 18-year-old women. Why would that be a problem?
That is an
If
asinine
you're saying
point.
that a
How
woman
did she
can
really
hump
just say that?
18-year-old men, as long as the 18-year-old pays her for it.
Bro, did she really just
I
say
feel
that?
the same, no matter what.
You feel the same way. You
the
just said it was perfectly
If the gender is
acceptable.
reversed in the same situation, I feel the same way. I feel like women can be predators too.
Yeah. So then you think that sex workers should not be allowed to have sex?
So
with
Andrew knows a
18-year-olds?
lot
They can't-
about
they can't do
philosophical
scenes with
arguments.
them?
When I
They
read
can't
more
do any
modern
of those types of
philosophy, is
things,
more
right?
concerned
That
with
would be bad,
feminist
wouldn't it?
epistemology
I
and
wouldn't personally agree to it, but because
decolonial
they're of age to
epistemology.
make their own
Yeah.
decisions, then
Andrew
they can
is
choose to
definitely
do
a
that, but I
philosopher.
wouldn't
He's
say
definitely
I would recommend that or that's personally right.
a
But they make
religious,
their own
political
decisions if they're paying for it,
philosopher.
and that's their
Definitely
source of
is a
income.
philosopher.
Okay, so what you're saying is that inside the porn industry, you would say it's bad for a 40-year-old.
I agree with that, AD. I agree with
an
that.
18-year-old. That's like worse than if it was just a 30-year-old doing a scene with a 40-year-old.
Yes, it's worse.
It's worse.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's worse because the 18-year-old can't make these decisions.
No, I just said they're old enough to make their own decisions.
Okay, but by this logic, wouldn't you say then that 18-year-olds shouldn't be involved in sex work at all?
I wouldn't recommend someone so young getting into sex work, but I also can understand that they're of age to make their own decisions. So everyone has different circumstances in life, you know. You could have a full ride scholarship to school. Other women don't get that privilege. Not saying that all sex workers have to do sex work, but I'm in no position to judge young women who are just trying to get by.
So then we can just agree then that there's nothing actually immoral with an 18-year-old dating a 40-year-old, right?
Well, you're bringing up sex work. Dating is different than sex work.
Why would it be okay for them to have a physical relationship with each other as long as there was money involved? That's really weird.
Because that is a job and one is dating.
Yeah, well, I don't understand. Why would you paying somehow change the dynamic of this power dynamic, which is what you're against, right? It's still a massive power dynamic issue, isn't it?
think we all agree that it's not immoral.
not-
It
Heavy
just
Red
could be
Relationship
inappropriate,
Theory
which
and
is
Practice
a-
by
it's
Peter
just an
Nordhaus.
opinion more than
Nah, I
Well, what does
typically
inappropriate
look.
mean?
I typically
What is
I
it?
typically don't read books unless they're science books. I typically don't read just random people's books. Are these people psychologists? Because if they psychologists, then I'd read them. I don't know these people though. But I typically stay away from political or opinionated books. I only like nonfiction books. I'll only read nonfiction books.
just an
that mean?
opinion. I think different things are inappropriate probably than Brooklyn and Lily do. And,
Like what?
I mean, do you want me to say things I think are inappropriate?
It gives them the
Yeah.
ick. It gives them the ick.
Yeah, I
don't
just
think
want to
it's
know. I
that.
just want to hear that it gives you.
AD
there's nothing
and
wrong about it.
AD
It's just
and
icky. You just
LTR
think it's
Network.
I just think that
Since
different
y'all
things are appropriate
donated,
than other things that
I'll-
I'm sure other people find inappropriate. Things I might find inappropriate, other people might not.
Okay.
So I think
Just
it's
for the sake of
opinion-based.
time, I do have to move things on a little bit. I didn't really get an answer though.
You
I'll come
guys,
back to this quick.
you guys
We were
donated
talking
to
about
me, so
commonality. I still haven't really heard what men and women have in common.
I appreciate you guys supporting me. I don't go live often, but
I'm opening
if you
this up.
guys
What you
ever
were
see me
making, Leah, I
live,
think you were making a.
Well,
if
men
you
and
guys
women
ever
in
see me
general
live,
are
AD
looking
and
at us at
LRT
18.
What would
Network.
be something that a man and a woman could have in common?
Which part? I'll say I made y'all mods because I appreciate you guys' donations. I appreciate you guys supporting me. So I gave y'all wrenches. So I don't go live often, but if y'all ever see me live, then feel free to stop in and manage the comment section. You know what I mean? Keep the trolls and the haters in check. Cause I appreciate the support and I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the super chat from you, AD, and I appreciate the donation you sent me, LRT Network. Nah, thank you, bro. I always appreciate support. I always appreciate support to that magnitude.
That would be sufficient enough for them to want to date simply by virtue of having a commonality.
Maybe their religion. Yeah, religion.
Okay, but what, like, within the context of age? So we have something in common because we're about the same age. So a 70-year-old and a 20-year-old could have religion in common.
Well, I think there's a higher chance of maybe both people not having kids.
I appreciate
at a
it,
younger
Peter.
age, or
Sure.
a marriage, and it's some people would be very.
I
important
appreciate it,
to
bro.
them
All the way
as
from
it is to me.
Australia.
For
That's
I
love. What
wouldn't
time is it over
be
there?
with a man that
Right,
has
let's
a
assume
child because I want it to be our both.
What time is it over there, Peter? What is Australia? Australia what? I don't even want to guess. I don't even want to guess the time that y'all ahead. Somewhere between 8 and 12 hours. It got to be between 8 and 12 hours. It got to be.
Let's assume this hypothetical 30-year-old doesn't have kids, and neither does the 20-year-old.
It really is so situational.
Yeah.
It
Well,
really
but
is so
but
situational.
you said like, okay, if it has to do with age,
12:45 lunchtime?
Because you
Oh,
brought up
man.
they graduated.
Damn, it's
Well,
more
they
than 12
recently
hours, huh? I got
graduated
that
at the same
wrong. It's
time.
14
Has
hours.
anybody
Damn.
ever dated somebody? Oh, we graduated at the same time.
See, that's why I said I didn't want to guess.
Has that ever happened?
I knew I was going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Really?
How many
Because
people there-
that's
situational,
not because
because I
I
have
find her
somebody else.
physically attractive.
I think it's all of it. It's that you find
Wow.
Actually, Peter, the guy from Australia who I was on the podcast with, he's out there. He the one that gave me the vitamins. He gave me the vitamins. We was on the show together when I went out there. I want to say 2 months ago when I went out there. Really funny, really funny, really good guy. He in Australia too. He in Sydney. He told me he was going to invite me on the pod. He was going to invite me on the pod out to Australia.
She
someone
graduated.
more attractive, the more you have in common with them.
But
Yeah.
okay,
Why don't you think life
Really?
stage is a big thing to have in common?
No, not Rattlesnake TV. I've never been on whatever
can't
Rattlesnake
have it in
TV.
common.
It's
right, but if,
I'm trying to
if,
figure
if
out
that
your
was
self-
the
it's
if that was the attraction trigger, then all high school
I
students
gotta-
would be attracted
I got
to
I
all
gotta
high school
yeah,
students.
the gym
which
dude, the
clearly
gym
isn't
dude.
the
Yeah,
case,
yeah,
right?
him.
So it's clear to
Him.
me that
Yeah, that-
commonality on its
cool
own
guy, cool
is
guy.
not, hold on, is not sufficient enough to create attraction between two people.
I don't think any one thing is.
I think this stage in life.
Yeah, him. He gifted me with a box of his vitamins. The vitamins that he sell. Motherfucking vitamins is $400. $400. But he said he knew I was gonna be on the show with him that day, so he gave me a pack. He gave me a pack on the house. Yeah.
Life is more sufficient for like securing a bond, but also, do you think that most high schoolers
Yeah,
don't date other high schoolers?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm arguing. Of course, high schoolers date other high schoolers.
I think it seems pretty normal that people date within their
Yeah,
own
no,
stage of life.
most people date. Most people date around their age, I would say. But this idea that you are precluded from finding somebody outside, like if you're precluded from finding somebody who's 10 years your senior, you can't find them attractive because they're not your age.
Did you
I
see
don't know if
Ariana
anyone's
Grande
putting, like, a
said her
hard
dream
stop
dinner
on
date
it. I
would be
think
with Jeffrey
most
Dahmer? I
people
would
or a lot of
assume
women
this is
just have the experience with older men where
Hybridophilia
it
because
gets a
what
little
else
bit
would it
more
be?
predatory or
No,
uncomfortable.
I actually didn't see.
I don't even
It's
think
only-
it's.
I actually didn't see Ariana Grande say that. LRT Network. I did not see that. She said that. Of course. Yeah. It is. It's a classic case of Hybridophilia because, like, there's these women being attracted to these serial killers and thinking that like I don't even know how to explain it. I mean women have selected criminals all throughout the history of human mating. That's why they still live amongst us and they still reproduce. Otherwise they wouldn't be in the population. So women clearly select men who have these psychopathic and sociopathic tendencies. That's how these personalities got into the human genome. But like in developed societies and understanding the morality, that the at least the somewhat moral component we give dating, you would assume that would be a complete turnoff. But you see Ted Bundy's body count. Ted Bundy slept with damn near every one of the women that he killed. So I mean, women just different. Women different. And that will always remind you that we're animals at the core. That will always remind you that we're animals at the core, because even in the most extreme cases of men acting barbaric and lacking empathy and being able to take human life because they don't view humans as human beings, they view them as objects, and women are still willing to sleep with them. That's the part of women that has co-evolved with men who act like that, still having that visceral attraction to men who are capable of that. And I mean, we could be honest, guys who fight in wars and who have high body counts like the Equalizer, John Wick, they're essentially the same thing, just on the positive end. They at least are doing it for a good cause. But I mean, women love that. Women love that in men. Women love that capacity to kill in men. And they think they can change a man, or they think they can be an exception to the rule when it comes to dealing with men like that. They think they can get a man to not do that to them because that would highlight that's how special they are to that man. And they're just fooling themselves because it don't have nothing to do with being special. It's about the fact that men like that don't even perceive you to be human. You're just an object in the way that's annoying them, and they get some kind of high off of it. They get off on doing it.
Predatory one direction. It's only predatory when men do it, right?
No,
No, she said
No,
that.
she didn't say I didn't say that. But
Yeah, you said when men
I said that most women go through that experience.
go through what experience?
Where you have
Dealing with
older men
predatory men.
That are attracted to you when you're 21?
or younger.
Okay, well, let's talk about adult relationships. So fine, 18 and up.
Sure.
Women have the experience of being adults.
Man,
at
this was a
18.
long ass conversation. I
with
wanted
men
to
who are
I wanted
30
to go
being
around the
attracted
web
to them.
on some other things.
And
I'm gonna leave it here though,
because
cause I gotta eat, guys. I didn't eat anything. I gotta eat, so I'm gonna leave it there. But them discussing age gap relationships, this was good content, and this explains how they're incapable of explaining when men like younger women and how they get morally dumbfounded and can't explain it, and they just try to rationalize their asses off to no avail, of course. But this was definitely, they spent an entire hour on this topic. That's crazy. I was really gonna stream and go around the web with that. But I appreciate you guys. I gotta go get something to eat, and I'm gonna start doing this a lot more often. I'm gonna start streaming, going around the web, reacting to videos. You guys be blessed. You be safe. I will catch you guys the next time I am streaming if I don't see you before then. All right, y'all be blessed, man. I'm off this.